Our guest speaker for today is Anjala Zia Dharmakumar from UK. The topic is my experience of a silent meditation retreat and its benefit. Anjala grew up in northeast of England and she graduated in marketing management. Currently, she's working in London as an executive assistant. Alongside work, she pursued her passion for singing and worked in many music projects. In her 20s, she discovered yoga and meditation, which led her to train as a yoga teacher and later become as a life coach. Now Anjala works full-time and teaches yoga and coaching. I'm really looking forward to hear from Anjala about silent meditation retreat and her experience. Now we all invite Anjala to come to the platform and take on. Thank you, Anjala.
Thank you, Master. Okay, I will just share my screen. Are you able to see the slides okay? Great.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you. So good morning, good evening to everyone on the call, and thank you for having me here today. I will be talking about a recent silent meditation retreat that I attended, and I look forward to sharing with you. So the agenda for today is to give you a bit of background, the do's and don'ts of silent meditation, the benefits, the teachings, the challenges, the retreat ending, and the post-retreat, so coming out of a retreat and coming back into reality, and a summary. So before I begin, I would just like to thank Mr. and Mrs. Sri Skandaraja for giving me this opportunity today, and also my Amma Sugendra Dharmakumar, who invited me to speak last year. And as soon as this silent retreat ended, the first thing she said to me was, please, can you come and speak at the group meditation? So I'm very happy to be here and share. So I was introduced to meditation in my 20s, but it was only in my 30s that meditation really became a big part of my life. In 2014, I attended my first silent meditation retreat, and that was a Vipassana meditation retreat, which is a silent meditation retreat for 10 days. And it gave me a different side to meditation that I'd never experienced, and I really enjoyed. So since then, I have attended 4 silent meditation retreats, ranging from 3 days to 10 days. And this year I attended my 5th meditation retreat. So the last retreat I did was 3 years ago. So I definitely felt like a silent retreat was overdue. Obviously we had COVID, so there wasn't much time to get away then. Now, the reason for me going on this retreat was, unfortunately, over the past few years, I've suffered from 2 miscarriages. And with those miscarriages has come a different kind of meditation, one where, I was questioning my body, I was questioning God. Things that I'd never experienced before were coming up for me in my meditations, and I had to sit with it. And so I'm currently undergoing IVF to have a baby. And prior to starting IVF, it was really, really important for me to have some time away and to get into my silent space, to connect with myself and to have some preparation time before the process. So I went online and I did a search and I found a retreat called Gaia House in Devon in the UK. And what was interesting about this retreat was every retreat they did had a different theme. So I'd taken a week off work, and for that specific week, the retreat was called Awakening the Heart. Now, just the name alone resonates with me. I'm very much into chakras, and for me, heart center is the space that I like to sit with and work on, especially in meditations. And the retreat description said this: so friendliness or loving kindness connects us with our potential to awaken to deepening levels of love and wisdom. It transforms our relationships with our own experience, other people, and helps us bring the truth or reality into all areas of life. So on this retreat, you will explore how loving kindness relates to compassion, joy, and equanimity, and nourish your deepest well-being. So I knew that really resonated with me, the idea around loving kindness to myself, but also to others who were going on this journey with me. So the retreat was 5 days in silence. So it was a nice number. It wasn't too much. It wasn't too little. I was definitely excited, but I also felt quite apprehensive and nervous. Obviously, we've had COVID with the experiences that I've just mentioned. I sensed that I was going into this space in a different mindset. So excited, but slightly nervous. So let's talk about the do's and the don'ts of the retreat. So obviously, as the name suggests, we observe silence, so no talking to others on the retreat. We have a meditation practice, so that involved both seated meditation and walking meditation, so a mix of both. And you'd have about 7 sittings every day. We all had to do 1 hour of service. So lucky for me, I was the first to arrive at the retreat. My dad always taught me, get to places on, early. So I got there early. So I was able to sign myself up to do food prep, something that I've done before in an ashram and really enjoyed the meditation side of the practice. So yeah, 1 hour of service daily. Sensitivity to all living beings and non-harming relationship to all life. Modest clothing, so obviously in respect to your fellow retreatants, but also for comfort. We're walking numerous times in the day, so comfort was paramount. The last two are interesting. So I've put okay to smile and mindful movement optional, yoga, tai chi. So in previous retreats that I had visited, we weren't allowed to smile at anyone. We weren't allowed any eye contact. We had to keep our practice completely within ourselves. And it was interesting because in the opening introduction to the retreat, obviously the theme is around awakening of the heart, loving kindness, compassion for others, joy. So they actually encouraged us to not obviously talk to anyone, but to create contact through gentle gestures of smile. And mindful movement. As a yoga practitioner, it was great that I could do my yoga in the morning. So in terms of the do nots, so no communication, obviously no talking, but that extends to no mobile phones, no technology. Also no reading or writing to keep our practice focused. No strenuous exercise and no drugs, cigarettes or alcohol. So just so I can put it out there to you all, I did talk. So I talked at the start on arrival. So on arrival, you obviously get registered, other retreatants are arriving. So you get to kind of speak to them and listen to their stories. You get acquainted to the space, you get shown your room, you settle into your room. So talking at the start and at the middle. So there was a key point at the middle of the retreat where there was 40 retreatants altogether, and they put us in groups of 8. And in those groups of 8, we would be allocated a teacher, and we would sit with the teacher, and it was just an opportunity for us to really share about our experience or things that are coming up for us, and the teacher being able to comment. And finally, at the end of the retreat, in the main hall, we got into a big circle, and it was an opportunity for individuals who wanted to share about their experience and to give thanks. So there was communication with the teachers via a notice board. So on the notice board, we would have a daily schedule, which would vary slightly day to day. There would be notes on the daily practice. So starting with the first day of loving kindness, near the end of the day, they would put those notes up, which you could refer to on the following day or that evening. And also on the notice board, you could ask any questions. So if you had a particular question about something that was coming up for you, you could put the question on the notice board, and then the teacher would respond with your name and pin it to the board so you can take it and reflect. So I've just popped some pictures on here because it's sometimes nice to visualize what I'm talking about. So on the top left, you'll see the meditation hall. So it's quite a large hall. In total, with retreatants and the workers who were there, there was probably about 60 of us, and 60 fitted comfortably in that room. The centre picture is a picture of the room that I stayed in. Apologies for the mess. I took it before I could get it into a decent state, but basically it was a very simple room, and I opted to actually have a room on my own. Normally, previous retreats, I've always done a share with others, but it was important for me for this one to have some space to myself. So you just have your bed, a sink, a chair, and a cabinet to keep your belongings. So very simple. The 2 pictures to the right are just some of the views of the beautiful landscapes. We were surrounded by nothing but rolling hills. And unfortunately, that photo at the bottom was taken online, and it was extremely grey throughout pretty much my duration there, apart from one day. And the bottom left photo is one of the other rooms that we were able to practice yoga in, Tai Chi and walking meditation if we opted not to do it outside. So in terms of the benefits, I mentioned before that there were 2 teachers guiding the retreat. So they provided guidance, they talked about the theme and varied it from day to day. They shared wisdom around awakening the heart and tools to aid our meditation practice. They were pretty much the anchors to the group and the constant throughout. And it was nice because some meditations were guided and some meditations were in pure silence. And it was quite standard as to which ones were going to be the silent and which ones were going to be guided. So as the days progressed, you kind of got into a rhythm of what to expect. So obviously one of the benefits is silence. You know, in the world that we live in, it's so rare to be in an environment where you have no distractions and you can completely be alone with yourself. If it's shopping, working, exercising, driving, being on the phone to family, friends, there's always something that will pull us away from ourselves. So having that dedicated time and space just for me was very important. Community. So I've mentioned 40 retreatants in total. I was actually going there expecting about 7, so I was quite shocked. I don't know why I thought 7, but it was a shock to see so many people. But, you know, having a community for me is a really great thing because similar to your meditation group, it's a shared practice, it's a shared purpose, and it creates a big intention in the energy that we're trying to create. not just within ourselves, but to each other and to the whole world, and all the beings within it. So it's what I find strange about silent retreats and being around people. It's so funny how well you get to know people in silence. You know, sometimes you think, I need to have a conversation with that person to really get to know who they are. But I tell you, once you've done it in silence, being around people, there's a realization that the subtle energies that are in play between two people will tell you more than any words that are shared between, you know, the two of you. So I really enjoyed that aspect of community. And also, I've just mentioned that usually we use our ears to listen, but in silence we tap into all the other listening senses. So again, this awakening of the heart, I definitely feel that there is this aspect of being able to listen with our heart, and that will transform into different kinds of conversations and feelings and experiences. So where do I begin with nature? I love nature, and it was so refreshing to be with the trees, with the water, with even the grey clouds. You know, everything was teaching me something as the days progressed. The animal kingdom as well. So every time I go to a retreat, I have a very interesting relationship with animals. So usually at the start, I see nothing. And as the days progress, I see more and more and more. And even this whole sense around energy, I definitely sense a shift, because I find that animals that will never normally come near you will come near you. And it makes me wonder in awe the power of meditation, that it can create such a connection, not just with human beings, but with animals. And bearing in mind, growing up, I was terrified of any creature, animal. So now, having experienced these kind of things, it really helps me to feel connected, not just to people, but to animals, to all. So we had a plant-based diet. The food was incredible. So good, in fact, that I will tell you later that I was doing some overeating. But obviously, with having a plant-based diet, it's extremely conducive to good meditation practice. Meditation in motion. So as I mentioned, previous retreats was mainly all about seated meditation. But the difference about this retreat that attracted me quite a bit was the fact that you could actually walk and sit, and there was a mix of that throughout the day. And it also helped with the connection to nature. Also, in terms of meditation in motion, I think one of the key things that I learn is the importance of the connection of the feet to the earth. I think it's, you know, if you can imagine the walking that you might have done today, how much were you aware of the weight distribution? Were you walking on the tips of your toes or your heels? You know, were you anchored back, or were you charging forward? Do we pay attention to the speed at which we walk, and how mindfully we're walking? And, you know, having that practice really helped me to acknowledge that at the start of the retreat, my walking was so fast, was so erratic. And by the last day, it really helped me to bring it and hone it back and find that balance of that middle ground to actually enjoy the walk, as opposed to trying to get somewhere or do something. And obviously service. So I worked in the kitchen prepping food. One of the best meditation teachers for me of all time. Cutting vegetables repeatedly helps me to slow down. It helps you to bring that awareness to the act itself. And also, if I'm cooking at home, say with my husband, I can hear the controlling side in me saying, mix that and chop that and don't do that. Whereas this was the first experience of cooking in a kitchen and no one exchanging any words. And not only did we do our activities of chopping or washing together, but we were actually helping each other. So the cleanup, the prepping at the start of session and the cleanup at the end. And it's, for me, teamwork and silence have never made sense, because for me, it's always like, you need to be speaking to each other, you need to be telling each other and communicating. But actually, this was the first time that I've witnessed being able to do a kitchen service 1 hour daily without no words. And it was incredible. So other benefits, so awareness. So I've mentioned about awareness of the subtle things like the body sensations, the sounds that you hear. When your vibration changes, it opens you up to more of yourself and the world around you. So signs. Sometimes I think that the universe puts tests on us to see how much we've actually learned from the day. So we have a talk on, say, loving kindness, and then at some point in the day, the universe will go, right, this is the moment. We're going to give her that test and see how she responds. So one day I came out of my bedroom and I looked on the floor, and there was a ladybird on the floor, and it was very camouflaged, but I managed to see it. So I picked the ladybird up and I took it 3 flights of stairs down, and I went to a doorway, and I was blocking the doorway, but I was holding my hand to a plant to let the ladybird off. And what was interesting, a gentleman, a retreatant, came behind me, and suddenly my energy changed, because I could sense this kind of, I don't think it was anger. It was, you know, a sense of, why are you blocking the doorway? Hurry up, like, what are you doing? And that energy transferred to me, and suddenly I was all panicky. And I kind of looked at him, and I almost kind of wanted to show him the ladybird. And then he realized that I was doing an act of kindness. And so his energy changed, and in turn, my energy changed. And it was just so interesting to see how our energies bounce off of one another. So the ladybird got off my hand finally and went onto the plant, and I let the man through, and that was that. But I do find, so this sign comes back to, I mentioned at the start, the do's, this sensitivity towards living beings, a non-harming relationship to all life. For me, the teaching in that is to, you know, to stop, to help. It's so easy sometimes to look at, say, to this small ladybird that might be so insignificant that we could just walk by it, but we know that it's not in its natural habitat. So by taking that time, it actually taught me something about myself, that actually I don't have to charge through life, and I can take the time, and it's doing good deeds, you know, for all. Inner teachings. So pretty much on day one, I noticed 2 major pains in my body. One was in my left jaw, and the other one was in my right shoulder blade. And I can tell you, I did everything I possibly could to manipulate the pain, control the pain, adjust my body to, you know, try and figure this pain out. And it got so exhausting. And you know, I've sat with pain before, and I know that you know, this allowing it to pass, almost becoming one with the pain. But in that time, it was very difficult for me to do. And then we had a teaching around loving kindness, and about having kindness to ourselves and our bodies. And obviously the whole premise of me coming to this retreat was about that aspect. And there were 2 teachers, 2 pains, trying to get my attention, and I'm trying to have a battle with them. And the beauty was I left the retreat with 2 really good friends who are still with me today. And that is the pain in my left shoulder, the pain in my left jaw, and the pain in my right shoulder blade. Now, the reason I refer to them as friends is because as part of our loving kindness, and I'll get to that shortly, words, I was able to direct a different type of energy to my pains, basically to allow myself to not give it such a harsh, heavy energy, but to almost give it the space to open and release. And that in itself made the pain slowly, subtly go. Now, I'm not saying that they've completely left. I think they're still there as a reminder to say you've still got some work to do. But the fact that, you know, I was able to have those types of teachings, inner teachings in my body, is that just is that reminder to say I'm a human being and these things happen, and you know, we have to work with what we've got and, you know, give it loving kindness and attention. So in terms of breakthroughs, I had a really beautiful heart opening involving music. So on the lands of the retreat, there is a chapel, and it's like a derelict chapel. They don't use the chapel. And so I walked past the chapel one day, and I could hear music and someone singing some native Indian music inside. And I really wanted to go in, but I held myself back. And so I just stood outside facing the meadows, and I was just listening away. And then to the side of my eye, I could see another retreatant walking behind me, opening the door, walking straight in. And I was stood outside thinking, what's going on here? I want to be in there. What was stopping me from going in there? And so immediately after, I went through the door, and I was greeted by the retreatant who smiled at me. I sat down, and we were both the only two of us just listening away to the man playing his guitar and singing. And I had a real realization in that moment, a real heart opening that I almost needed a bit of a helping hand. You know, that man doesn't know to this day, because I didn't get a chance to thank him at the end. But, you know, sometimes people, there are little signs and little breakthroughs, as I call them, where there is a opening that gives you the experience that you need. And for me, that helped me to really open myself up, and actually built up my confidence as well. Even though I wasn't the first through the door, the fact that he opened he didn't literally open the door, but he initially opened the door, it gave me the confidence that I can do this as well. And finally, another benefit, memories forgotten. So in one meditation, I was transported back to my teenage years, where I was sitting in the lounge or sitting room with my mum and dad and brother, and everything was as clear as day. And I think what's beautiful about going into silence is that a lot of the unconscious memories or thoughts or feelings can arise. And I have to say, they can be good and bad. But for this particular experience, I was extremely grateful for this memory, because sometimes you think things are forgotten and out of sight, out of mind, but actually everything is within us. And if we can get to that silent place, I don't think we can always choose what we're given, but we have the opportunity to witness memories, and for me, such as this one with my family. So in terms of teachings, the simplest mindfulness practice was kind of how we started most of the meditation. So it's basically choosing one of three anchors. So paying attention to either the breath, body sensations, or sound. And even though I did find sometimes that, you know, I say, right, my intention is to focus on my breath. In the mornings, you'll hear all the birds singing and, you know, vocalizing, and then suddenly you're drifted to the sound, and then your body creates a sensation. So sometimes it was difficult, but I think just having that initial anchor really helps to hone in the practice. So rain meditation, I hope you can all read this, but this is a self-compassion exercise that we were introduced to. And so RAIN stands for recognizing what is happening now in your meditation, allowing life to be just as it is, investigate with a gentle, curious attention, and nurture with loving presence. So this was a really good exercise to practice, especially when, say, difficult things were coming up in your practice, because sometimes, you know, your first reaction is to avoid or try and alter the course of where your meditation is going. But sometimes just sitting with it and maybe just doing having a bit of curiosity helps. Another teaching was the weather. I found that the weather was a great teacher for me. It mimicked how I was feeling a lot of the time. As I mentioned, it was raining a hell of a lot, and there were lots of grey clouds everywhere until day 4. And I found that there was almost like a crescendo, like a building. And by day 4, when the sunshine came, a lot of things began to lift and to release. So sometimes, you know, having the weather the weather can reflect to us ourselves in the same way that everything around us can reflect a part of ourselves. And it just helps to bring that awareness to really connect. So death awareness meditation, this was something very new to me. So this was one of the pictures that I showed you before, which is the room where I practiced yoga in the morning. So the morning bell would go at 6:15, but I actually woke up at 5:15 so that I could do a long enough yoga practice before the first meditation. So usually I was in that room for about half an hour alone. Now, I don't know if you could, I've got that picture. So I've just done a zoom in to what is at the front of that room. And if you can see, there's a skeleton sitting in the middle of the room. So every morning I was greeted with a skeleton, and I had a gentle curiosity, but I would just focus on my yoga practice. But on the final day of the retreat, I was doing my yoga practice, but before I began, I thought I want to just sit in meditation in front of the skeleton and try and have a practice. And I didn't know anything about the practice of, how did I call it? The death awareness meditation. But then I noticed that there were 2 signs next to the skeleton. And the first one read, a medical student donated their skeleton to Gaia House for the practice of contemplation on death. And the second note read, a description of contemplation on death, saying, part of the Buddhist practice is said to help embrace death and impermanence. Remembering death can strike at any time, and to cherish life and every breath. And so then I sat in meditation, and it was, to be honest, quite surreal. I really felt a deep sense of peace in being alone in that room with the skeleton, and also having that skeleton reflect back at myself was, again, if I take away my skin, my organs, my muscles, underneath all of this is exactly what I'm in front of. And it really made me reflect in gratitude of this skeleton within me is holding me together, is one element of many that's making me function right now as I speak, and right then as I was sitting in meditation. But not just that, it was how delicate the skeleton actually is. And there was something around aging that really came up with the skeleton. So I didn't know the age of this medical student who had passed, but in the context of loving kindness and compassion to ourselves, I think more so when I was sat there with the skeleton, it just really made me reflect on the fact that, you know, we have to just really take care of our bodies, and look after them. So language. One of the teachers used this line quite frequently, and it was, I am open to the possibility and opportunity. And that was quite a deal breaker for me. It was introduced pretty much at every meditation. And it really just helped me to get fully immersed in my practice and to really have that level of curiosity to just be with the things that were coming up for me. So in terms of the main teachings, we started off with loving kindness, so a practice to develop an attitude of friendliness, kindness, and welcoming towards all beings and all experiences, including ourselves. Now, of all the practices, the first one was for me the hardest to sit with. I think it was the hardest because I'd made a realization that at points in my life, having kindness towards myself had been a difficult thing at times, and saying kind things to myself was also difficult. And the things that I really zoomed in on were self-judgment and the self-critic in me. And it was difficult to sit with them because, you know, you're starting the meditation and you kind of want to start on a high, but suddenly I was thrust into some of the hardest, deepest things that were going on. So I really had to sit with that and work with that. And also, especially with the fertility journey, you know, those self-judgments of what I'd been going through in the past few years were really surfacing. So the next one was compassion. To be with suffering, express caring and wise response to all that is painful and difficult. At its core is empathy, so resonating and attuning to others. Sometimes we do not respond to the calling of care, so one aspect of practice is learning where and why the heart closes. So having gone from something really difficult, I actually found compassion. I worked with compassion really well. I do find that as a yoga teacher, as a life coach, I'm able to stand in the shoes of someone else and understand the pain or the suffering that they might go through, obviously with boundaries, but having that ability really helped me to connect to not just the compassion to others in the retreat or to family members, but also in the process that I was going through with myself. Next one was joy, so which comes from appreciation. So essentially, appreciation plants seeds of joy. Now, I have a daily gratitude practice, and I've had that for a long time. And I really find that for me, it's even through difficult times, I can always seem to tap into joy, because I think there's always, if we close our space down to not, it's almost like in the darkness, you need to be able to let a little bit of light through in order for it to penetrate the darkness and expose it and come out fully. So I really enjoyed working with joy and yeah, sitting with joy, but I'll get to the next slide to give you more. And finally, equanimity. So described by the Buddha as the highest form of happiness. It is neither a thought or an emotion, but rather the steady conscious realization of reality's transience. So we didn't have that much time to work on equanimity throughout the retreat. But what I will say is, for me, in that description and through my meditation practice that I've had to date, equanimity is similar to others. It's a process. And while there were moments of equanimity, definite moments of equanimity, you know, it's cultivated through time and practice and patience. And so this is my lifelong pursuit. So every day we would say the following phrases: may I be happy, may I be peaceful, may I be safe and well, and may I live with ease. Then may you be happy, may you be peaceful, may you be safe and well, and may you live with ease. And then finally, may all beings be happy, may all beings be peaceful, may all beings be safe and well, and may all beings live with ease. I still to this day, since the retreat, repeat these daily. And what I find is, if I'm ever in a difficult situation, I can tap into one of those. If it's a difficult situation for myself, may I? If it's a difficult situation for another, may you? But then also, with so much going on in this world and the news always reminding us of the suffering that's happening, may all beings. So we did various practices, and what was interesting in the practices is we were given options of choosing people in our lives, and also people that we didn't know very well, to send this out to. So every day, we were able to connect to others. And that was just a really, really nice practice. And I've just given some examples there of, so someone easy could be a neighbor or receptionist, someone that you don't have much emotional connection with. Someone moderate being yourself or a family member or friend, and someone harder. And I've put for myself a particular work colleague and train commuters when I'm traveling in the busy London trains. So in terms of challenges, interestingly, smiling was, I always smile, but I have been programmed at silent retreats not to smile. So then when I was told we could smile, the challenge in me was real. I was thinking, what do I do? Do I smile? Do I not? And there was one experience where someone had smiled at me, and it's contagious. They smile at you, you smile back at them, you smile at the next person, they smile at someone else. And there was something really beautiful watching the smiling journey for me transform, because by the end, I just had a constant smile on my face because it had just brought me so much joy, this whole process. So I've already touched on this, judgments of self and others. I'll give you one particular example. So there was a lady who was part of our group, and she was sat right at the front of the room, actually away from everyone else. And she had some strange behaviors. So during the meditation talk, she would lie on her back, and around the retreat, she would rush around really fast. And sometimes she would stare at you. And there was definite moments for myself where I felt that judgments arise towards her. And then at the end of the retreat, she gave, for me, the most powerful share to the group. She expressed that she had mental health issues, and that she had been going through a difficult time, but she'd done retreats before, and she really wanted to come to this retreat to help her get through some difficulties that she was having. And she expressed how much the retreat had helped her. She even apologized for maybe acting differently. And the overwhelming guilt that I felt, knowing that I played a part of that judgment from not knowing her, and how easy it is to judge someone, when they act different to us. Her humbleness to share with such clarity the difficulty that she was feeling. And it really helped me to recognize the judgments that were coming up for me, but also in coming full circle, applying that compassion, which was a massive thing for me, because it just made me recognize that even unknowingly, I was judging without realizing, and I had to be shown that I was judging to then go, actually, it's compassion that I need. I'm not too sure how I'm doing for time, so I'm going to quickly move through these. So overthinking and oversharing. So at the group sitting, where there was a group of 8 of us and we had the opportunity to share, I shared my piece. And that was a really difficult evening for me, because straight after sharing, I spent the whole time in self-judgment mode and overthinking mode. Did I say the right thing? Should I have said something else? And I replayed about 100 different versions of what I should have said differently. And it created so much anxiety in me that it really had an impact on my meditation practice that evening. However, in the following meditations, I was able to allow and accept the process and give myself the space to just be me. And what was interesting was at the end of the retreat, someone came up to me and actually shared with me something that they'd learned from my share. So it just goes to show that you never know sometimes what you're putting out there and how it's affecting other people in a positive light. So I've touched on the control. So, the pains that I was feeling in the body and being able to observe the pain instead of trying to fix it. I had a bit of a battle between sitting cross-legged and tucking my feet behind. And I'd find that I was alternating between the two. And again, self-judgment was coming up, should I just be sitting in one position and the same position all the time? But then I was able to accept and allow that I needed to just be comfortable, and, whichever position was correct was fine. Competition. So I'm a very competitive person. And when I say competitive, I mean in like sports or board games with family and friends. But there was one thing that came up in the retreat, which I'm actually really not proud to say, but I feel in terms of being honest, I really want to share this. I was in competition when I was in seated meditation on a few occasions with some of the people sitting around me. Now, my eyes were always closed, so I could never see them, but it was the thoughts that were going through my mind, like, who's sitting the longest and who's going to get up first, and really, I have to say, silly things like that. And I really became aware of that narrative that was playing. And what I realized in that was that the only person that I was competing with was myself. And that for me was a massive breakthrough, because it made me realize that, we put ourselves in our thoughts through so many hurdles. And actually, the only hurdle that is there is the ones that we create, the ones that, that we can easily break down. And so having that realization was a really beautiful moment for me. And finally, one of the challenges was, as I mentioned, eating. I had maybe 2 occasions where I overate because the food was so good. And it definitely affected my meditation practice from the discomfort in my belly. But I think, all of these were really good lessons on moderation and eating slow and eating mindfully. So obviously there's quite a few challenges there. But what is nice in reflecting on these challenges is how many I was able to overcome. So it's nice to be able to, do these reflections and have these reflections to really show the truth of the experiences that we have. Okay, retreat ending. So we're nearly there. So the first thought that I had when it came to day 5 was, it's over already. I've only just arrived. So I was ready to stay there for another week. I felt like I'd only just got my flow. But like all good things, they must come to an end. Sharing is caring. So right at the end, we had our big group circle and everyone was giving thanks and sharing their experiences. And it was a really humbling moment to bear witness to the similarities in some of our experiences, the complete polar opposite different experiences that we're having, but knowing that we were almost all going through it together and that there was that supportive network and structure around us. Dana, which in Buddhism is generosity practice. So the teachers give their service for free. So we were asked to make a financial contribution to teachers. And then purchasing a Gaia House cookbook, which I signed myself up for straight away so I could start making recipes when I got home. So post-retreat, it was funny that the moment that I stepped out of the door to leave the retreat, the first challenge came just like that. So a taxi driver arrived and he was taking me to the train station. This taxi driver made me wait outside of the taxi for 10 minutes. no joke, 10 minutes. I was standing, and it was raining. So I put my hood on, and he was on the phone. And the old Angela, before the retreat, would have said, "Excuse me, can we hurry up, please? Can you let me in? I've got a train to catch." Da, 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 da. But I just stood there with patience, and I was exercising everything that I'd learned, actually with some ease, because I knew that my train that I had to catch was coming, but it was still a little while to go. But also I didn't know the situation that was going on. And I had two retreatants who actually came to me and said, "Is everything okay?" And I said, "Everything's fine." Didn't try and say, "Oh, he's not letting me in. Why can't we go?" So then eventually I got into the taxi, and he profusely apologized to me. And as we were driving, he said to me that he was on the phone, on hold at first, waiting for a doctor, to speak to a doctor because his daughter had a hearing issue that was apparently a number of members of his family had, and she just developed. And he was sharing this story with me, and there were so many things going through my head at that point. Loving kindness towards his daughter, and the compassion for his daughter because of what she's clearly going through. Compassion for this gentleman who's, trying to help his daughter. And towards myself, like, I didn't recognize the girl I saw who got in the taxi, who remained so calm, who was able to put out all of this kindness to others and really connect. Now, I know that that's always been in me, and I've always had that ability, but I also know that Angela that can react to a difficult situation. So to be able to put everything that I had learned into practice was, for me, and especially the moment I step out of the retreat door and get into that taxi, was for me just a really monumental moment of the journey ahead. So then I get on the train, and obviously there's a lot of sensitivities to sound and to speech, and it was a busy Saturday evening, so there was a lot of people on the trains. And the most interesting thing about going into a silent retreat and going to somewhere that's full of sounds is you become, what I've put there, a human radio. So what I mean by that is you're able to tune into specific conversations. I don't understand how it works, but I definitely know that because it's a sense that you've not used, and you're suddenly thrusting that sense into full, listening mode, it has this a way of listening and adjusting and playing with sound. So that I found that really interesting. I've never seen a pheasant before. And on the way home, I saw 5 pheasants at different points. I also saw a deer. Again, these were just beautiful little moments for me of gratitude, of being open to the possibilities and open to the opportunities of witnessing life unfold. I did actually take some high-level notes, having not written at all throughout the whole retreat. I took some notes because there was so much coming to me. And I have a tendency after a retreat to get home and suddenly tell my husband, like, this happened and this happened and that happened and that happened. And usually he gets really overwhelmed. So I thought, I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to put it all down on notes. And actually, it's really helped me today with this presentation. And then finally, life, we step back into reality. And obviously life, you don't have that level of silence, but you take the practices that you've gained and you apply it into daily life. And you work at finding those places of silence, because there are pockets every part of your day, and it's about really creating them or finding them and using them to the best of your ability. So in summary, the theme of awakening the heart was exactly what I needed. I definitely felt like it's really prepared me for my IVF journey, and just generally, with a new job that I started earlier this year, and life itself. Talk less and listen more. We can always exercise that. We do it at this group meditation, but there's always, as I mentioned before, pockets where we can do it. Challenging myself, improving my concentration, gaining a wider perspective, gaining mind and body transformation. My back feels renewed after that retreat. And just finally, I would highly recommend a silent retreat. I definitely think there are many types of retreats out there. I mean, it's just about finding the right one for you. And there's so many gains to be had. So I've popped down there a couple of resources. One is Gaia House, which is the retreat that I've just been talking about today. And dharma.org is the Vipassana meditation, which is the 10 days, but they do varying lengths, but you can find them globally. So thank you very much for your time. I really hope I haven't gone over, but thank you.
Thank you very much, Angela. Thank you for sharing your this wisdom that you have gained from your silence meditation. Now we will like to invite Kumarasamy Pulla Master to summarize your speech, and after that we'll have a question and answer session. Thank you so much. Thank you. Excellent, Angela. Thank you very much. I would like to ask you one question. And you said this silence meditation is it is a very good after hearing from you. I would like to ask. You said that while you are doing silence meditation, you had some pain on your shoulder and on your hand and things like that. So, did you use any medication, or without medication you could recover that? Because you said they are not using any drugs or anything during the meditation time, retreat time. So, what was? How did you get over that pain?
Silent meditation helped me to get over my pain. No drugs or anything like that is involved in these retreats. It's all about yourself and your own practice, and really just allowing the body to heal. You know, our body has an amazing capability to really unlock knots and have its own releases. I think what the issue is we as human beings don't have the patience or create the space to allow the body to heal itself. So yeah, no medication, only meditation. That was a nice rhyme. Yeah.
Okay. So it's that you have a power that you can heal yourself. That
Absolutely.
you have. Yeah. Thank you very much. It was so interesting, and it's very, you have explained to us very well. Even feel like also we should follow your retreat like this. At least you have done for 5 days, isn't it? It is a 5-day course.
This was for 5 days, yes.
5 days, yeah. So 5 days you didn't speak any word while you are doing that, just silence, yeah?
Yeah, apart from the group share where maybe I talked for 2-3 minutes, but apart from that, no talking.
Yeah, because some silence meditation, they allow reading books. So here they never allowed you to read a book or anything, isn't it?
No,
yeah.
No. And what's interesting to note is obviously I've only done up to 10 days of silence, but Vipassana meditation and other meditations do 30 days, do 60 days, do 90 days, where people really, you know, dedicate themselves and who have the time. I would love to do something like that, but obviously life won't allow it. But, you know, there's many different options available.
Anyway, thank you very much. There are so many hands raised. So thank you very much. And it's excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Angela, for your excellent presentation and also wonderful translation. Summarized her speech in Tamil. It's really, really good. Kumarasamy Pulla Master. Thank you very much. Nagendran Master from Reading, England. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your beautiful presentation, Angela. And I always forget about Kumarasamy Pulla Master's translation. The summarized translation was beautiful. Thank you so much for that. Angela, I was so amazed you have grown up so much, because I know you're a baby and today you are talking like me. It took me so many years for me to get to this stage. You are already talking like every word what you're saying, it takes me back, because I have been to several places for the silent retreat, mainly in Newbury and Oxford around here. And another thing you said about the chapel, that is my favorite place. And for you, the person was playing guitar. For me, there's a lady who was playing cello. And again, the door was shut, you choose to go there. That means something in nature pushing you to get there. So only a couple of people were there. The peaceful you get there is amazing. And I'm so pleased you experienced a similar one. And again, for us, we didn't go into cooking or anything like that, but we were walking, sitting somewhere, looking at things, beautiful riverside and so on. That is what we were doing. But it's a cutting as well as cooking. And I mean, this morning, whether you believe me or not, I gave a small talk in here saying about silence, golden. I talked about silence as well, and you saying this, and it's so amazing you come up with. And the two things I would like to say, though lots of people are waiting there. You mentioned about how your thoughts passing on to another person, how the connection, that is such a deep topic on that one. And also you captured that. And also that vibration, just imagine one person's thought, good or bad, without you knowing, passing to the next one, and then goes to another person and goes to another person. It spreads without you knowing. Therefore, how carefully we should think. Every action of it, we have to think so carefully. And then you put that experience towards the taxi driver and think, it makes you to wonder. And then again, you are evaluating your thoughts, aren't you? Towards the end of your session, you're thinking about, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing? So I think it's beautiful you took us in your path. It's fantastic talk. Well done. Keep up going. Everything will be perfect in your life. Do not worry. Keep going. Thank you. I love you. Take care.
Thank you. Next is Jnanam Vijay Kumar from Blackpool, England.
அனைவருக்கும் எனது அன்பார்ந்த வணக்கம். Good evening, Angela. Thank you very much for taking us through your journey. It's really exciting, and you explained to us so beautifully. And I'm sure that you enjoyed it. And I can just imagine, when you're talking about things, it's really beautifully you explained to us. And I really have to thank you for taking us through this journey and explaining to us everything. And it taught you a lot of things, isn't it? And I'd love to go and see the place, actually. We have been to Devon before and Cornwall and all, just a curiosity, Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
I know thank you is just a small word, but you sincerely, you enjoyed it and you told us and you gave us a new page in our mind, and it's like a new lease of life, for you. And sharing the experience is really great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is Angela's mother, Sigindra Tharmakumar.
Thank you, Angela, for coming today and giving the speech. I didn't expect that you will come and do this. I asked you when you came out from the meditation, silent meditation, to give a speech, but you said, I have to think about it. And on Mother's Day, you said, Mom, could you please leave free the 17th of April in your diary? I am going to give a speech, and that is my Mother's Day present. And I was thinking, goodness, this is what she is giving me this Mother's Day. And today you explained everything very clearly what happened in your silent meditation. And I hope everyone would have enjoyed it. And I hope you always like children, and whatever you were doing today in that silent meditation will help you, and all will bless you as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And sorry, I have to thank Kumaraswamy Pillai Master for giving such a good translation today in Tamil. Thank you very much, Kumaraswamy Pillai Master. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Kumaraswamy Pillai Master, do you want to say anything?
Actually, first I would like to congratulate Angela for her wonderful experience he had. And I wish, really, you others will follow you also. So you are a role model to the younger generation. Actually, we need more younger people to participate in such a meditation and benefit, because actually I can see you are really experiencing the benefit of meditation. Your face is the index. So you are really smiling, as you have been telling. So we all should follow that example. And another great thing is I have read enough articles about self-healing power. Today you have demonstrated that it is 100% true. I have learned it from your own experience. If we allow, without interfering with our body, our body has the self-healing power. So that's the very reason we all should follow meditation, and we can heal ourselves, whatever pain it is. So meditation is the only answer and not medication. We have emphasized on that, and I really appreciate that point. And thank you very much for the opportunity for translating. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next is Nimish Samanathan from Modern.
Thank you. Thank you. Angela, you are very great, darling. You are so little girl. You are very great, and you share your experience. I can't believe it. How did you manage 5 days silence medication? Even I can't do it even one day. So I don't know how could you manage to do that. That is really, really impressed the younger generation. You are so clever. But I'm going to cross your mom. Why didn't you teach Tamil for your daughter? She's a clever girl. She could have done Tamil. Why did you teach her?
I try to teach her, but she teach me English, then I teach her.
Even though if we talk to her, she could have answered Tamil. Beg your pardon, what did you say? I didn't understand. Then she could have said Tamil. She's a clever girl. She could have learned more languages. But I'm really proud of you, mother. She's a lovely girl, clever. You keep going on. Don't give up. Then I like to learn how to do silent medication. I can't do it, but I'll try to do that. Thank you so much. Learn Tamil. Next time you can speak in Tamil, okay? Yeah, Tamil. Okay, darling? Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Next is Anandi Baladasan from Toronto, Canada.
Yeah, love to all. Young Angela, it's very good to talk about your experience regarding the silence meditation retreat. This is not only for your gift for your mom. This is for everybody, for all of us. This is like we were going through a sacred garden. We all enjoyed your speech. Come back and give us more speeches. Thank you. Thank you, Angela.
Thank you very much. So, where is Dr. Sada Mano is here?
Yogi Nagendran has raised.
Yogi Nagendran. Thank you.
It's in the chat box. Sona Vinay Tirthan Master, very nice வாழ்த்துகள். Maithili Master, excellent presentation, Angela. Thank you so much for sharing your experience with us. Dr. S. Navaratnam Master, I enjoyed the talk by Angela. Punithavadi Master, excellent presentation, explanation about your experience, well explained. Thank you, Angela Master. Tamil translation by Kumaraswamy Pillai Master is very good. Thank you. And Dr. Sada Master Potrukla, thank you, Angela, for sharing your experience. And I am sure your presentation is very useful to all the masters who are listening to you talk. That's all, yeah.
I would like to thank you, Yogi Master. I would like to thank Angela. Your wish will come true. We will all wish you very happy and life, and we will all your wishes will come true. So thank you very much, Angela, for your presentation. Thank you so much. And we have to thank your mom as well and your dad. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now the time is 10:10, so let us conclude this session.
Okay, thank you, Angela. If you want to say
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will see you next month anyway with a different topic, Angela. Okay, thank you very much for your speech.
That's lovely.